209940. Is that you, Jan?
I've no idea.
Yeah, you've changed your name to. It's come up as 209940.
She's in the boardroom. Is that why?
That may be it. Yeah.
Sorry, Jan's in the boardroom. Shouldn't say she. Should. Oh my videos on.
That's okay. Do you know you can change your name on your thing? You can rename yourself.
No, I didn't. What I was going to say, what do you suggest? But that's a loaded question, so I'll backtrack on that one.
and I think I can change your name as well.
Oh, good grief, that's even worse.
Well, actually, I can't because I'm not the host on this one. I think the host can change people's names.
I can change your name, Gerard. Yeah.
Well, I wouldn't mind that. I was asking to have changed. I found that out actually because we were playing around with it on a Zoom call. So Margarita has been replaced by a Christmas tree.
Oh.
Is that right? It looks like Pam's in like the Bahamas.
I am actually. It's
wishful thinking.
the Costa del Newport in our office.
Well, so
oh, it's this wind thingy you can see.
Yeah, it just looks like really. It's a beautiful blue sky with a beautiful.
Actually, so I show you a wider view there.
Yeah.
Well, I'm in our basement, so I don't know. I don't really know what it's like outside.
Oh, right. So you're a little
naughty then.
Hello, everybody. How's everyone?
Hello, Neeti. Good, thank you.
Very well, Neeti. How you doing?
I'm all right. Sorry, I haven't been able to join in a couple of meetings, so I just kind of feel, oh, what's been happening on? I haven't been able to caught up with.
We've been well. You can log into the website, Neeti, and get the videos and what have you, can't you?
Yeah, that's it. And that's what I was thinking. There was definitely something like that. But yeah, honestly, life with the PDRs and all the year coming to an end, I've just trying to wind down. So apologies if I seem a little lost today.
That's okay. We'll soon get you up to speed. It won't take that long. We're moving on at a pace, should we say? Have we got? So I'm just looking. So there's a few people not arrived yet. Have you had any apologies, Charlie? Or
I'm just going to check that for you.
Keith's there, right, Keith?
Got a few apologies, yeah. So Steve Waggett.
Hi, Gerard.
Hi, Keith. Yeah, so you stopped sending me texts of you in the pub watching rugby.
That's because we all got banned. Not only did we all get banned, we all get completely locked down again on the 28th.
Exactly, yeah. So you've been real naughty boys, haven't you?
Well, if you look at the map, the South Wales is the problem. It's not the North.
Yeah.
But Drakeford's statement last night was that he didn't feel it would be right to offer people in North Wales a second-class level of protection by allowing us any freedom. In fact, my wife and I are discussing renting the house out we live in at the moment and moving into England.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, is this actually? I mean, people have a view about Nicola Sturgeon, but is Drakeford getting a similar sort of press? Is he in Wales? Is he? Or?
No, because I think he's getting a worse press because Nicola at least adopts a tiered approach across the country.
Yeah.
Whereas Drakeford just does the whole of Wales.
I find him a bit odd, that guy, if I'm being honest with you.
He's a teetotal Methodist ex-university professor, and comes across as one.
Yeah, that's whilst everybody's entitled to their opinions, I don't think you should apply them to the whole country.
No, and the economic devastation he's wreaking now is quite stark in North Wales, right. Particularly amongst tourism and hospitality.
I do wonder whether these leaders have all got massive share portfolios in Amazon.
Yeah.
because they seem to be, you know, when Nick Drakeford did the non-essential shopping the other week, a few weeks ago, all he did was Jeff Bezos in his James Bond villain lair in America must have sat there thinking, this is absolutely fantastic.
Well, he's done it again from the 28th because he's told all the supermarkets in Wales they can't basically sell anything other than food and alcohol.
But Amazon can. So
Yeah.
that's just wrong, isn't it? So
you know, and the charity that I'm involved with in railway preservation, we got a significant grant that was predicated on what had gone on in the last year, and he shut everything down again from 28th of December and told us we can't have another grant to cover any of that because we've already had one.
Yeah, Bennett. I think when we look back on these leaders, I think there's going to be some fallout for them.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. Yeah,
I think there is, and some of them probably justify it as well. So, anyway, let's focus on the work we have achieved in the past 6 months rather than the stuff that we haven't achieved. So, okay, so we've got most people here, I think now. So if people aren't coming, they can come into the recording session, can't they? They can have a look at the recording. So, what I wanted to do was just give people a bit of an update on where we are because we're moving on, and there's a couple of little things have come out. So let's just we did our launch webinar. We did our launch webinar last week, which was a week ago today, I think, 10th of December. So that went pretty well, I think. We had 17, 18 of the 25 on the call. So we had most of them on there. And I think we've caught up with another chunk of them afterwards. We'll come through the numbers in a minute, Charlie, please. But I think we've now launched it and we've had some good Q&A session. There is a recording of that available for people. So our initial cohort's 25. So how many have we got?
So we have 20 now, but we are having to drop 2, I think, of them. I think.
Yeah, I'll come on to the 2 in a minute. I'll come on to the 2 on why. But so the people you all put forward, there's still sort of 5 who haven't engaged yet. So they're currently on the naughty step. So
yeah, so we've sent them registration detail forms and a skill scan. I think the skill scan needs to go back to ProQual. I think some have done that, but I need registration details from them in order to get them their ULN numbers and put them on the ProQual system so that they can be fully inducted by Gary at ProQual then.
Yeah, so just to understand the process for if you aren't fully au fait on it, the students need to register and get a unique learning number, ULN number, which is a number that they get with the government, and also that goes on to the ProQual system. They have a system called Quartz, which logs all of that. So because we're doing this properly, there's an official process you have to go through. And then ProQual are offering us 2 services in this sort of situation. They're the assessor. So that is the person who works with the student to ensure the student, knows what they're doing, is on the right course, does it right, and uploading evidence and what have you. And then Helen, who works at ProQual, is doing the IQA role, and that's ensuring that Gary, the assessor, does his job right. In summary, there's a bit more to that. So what it means is when we finish this, we will have done it properly. Everybody will have been registered properly. So all of the accreditations and everything will be absolutely in line with the UK educational vocational qualifications requirements. So it's quite important that, because then when we sort of publish the results of what we've done and everything, then everybody knows it's been they're Ofqual accredited, they've been assessed properly, they've been IQA'd properly, they've all had UL. So it's a proper sort of job. So can Charlie, are the people on the call, I don't need to name, the people on the naughty step, we don't need to name them particularly, but can you actually email the companies, please, the contacts that we have in our group for the people who, just say, look, I don't know if there's any for pick. So Diana, if there's one person or whatever it is. So at least you guys can have a bit of a chase up, please, for me. because we want to get everybody sort of on that case. Because the induction process we're going through will take us to about middle of January. The target finish on the induction is 15th of January. That's what Gary's trying to do. And then from then we can actually go through the next sort of stage, really. So that's that first piece. So that then means there are 2 individuals that we've had registered. Now, ISG aren't on this call. So if you remember, guys, Karen Viger at ISG was keen to liaise with a school. If you remember that, I don't know if you remember that. So she has, through a school, I can't remember the name of the school, but she has proposed to students. And it's great that they want to do it. However, they cannot do this qualification because they can't produce the work-based evidence to mean they can qualify for the accreditation. So Pam and or Jan and I have had a chat about this, and we think there's a real opportunity here. And the way I'm just going to explain it at my level, and then Jan can tell me correctly when I make a mistake. But what I think we want to try and do is if we, our objective is to try and get people interested in our sector, in construction, built environment, and all that. So if we can get them at an early age, we stand a better chance of then keeping them. And obviously, what we need to do, or what we want to do, is we need to we want to get kids understanding what's going on. So, and realizing that a job in construction isn't just being a brickie or a plumber or digging some holes. It's a life of careers if you want to have it as such. So what I've talked to Jan about is can we produce, and I'm going to freestyle here, a school-based transition qualification, but it'll be about knowledge of the sector and the environment rather than sort of qualification, where we can then get some schools involved. And I'm going to approach Karen on this, and I've got a couple of schools up in Hull where we can provide them and give them that bridge to entice kids into the sector and demonstrate to them it's a life of careers, etc. So I think that's what we've talked about there, Jan. So have I covered that right, or
Yes,
what's your view on that?
That's right. Well, I had a brief conversation with Pam after we spoke this morning, Gerard, and what we believe is that we could do some, but there will be qualifications, because that way we can measure that they have listened and they've understood that they're being told. But we can make them an awareness qualification about the industry, and exactly as you explained, entice them. And as I said this morning, for want of a better expression, make the qualifications a bit more sexy, a bit more interesting.
Yeah.
To enable, to entice them possibly into the industry, and making them aware of all the different routes and pathways they could take. And if they want to have a career to get to the very top, they can do it by a vocational method. And I think making them qualifications rather than just a course to go on, even at this stage, is valuable, because they can instantly see that they can achieve a qualification by something other than a straightforward academic route. And if the qualifications can explain to them in some way that, they may come on at a very low level qualification, but the progression route for them, they can do the whole lot vocationally. So it's a bit of an explanatory qualification in some respects. And Pam would come up with titles, because we couldn't use the same title.
Yeah.
We could get an appropriate title.
Yeah.
The bit that you're going to have to deal with is working with schools is a different ball game to an employer having employees that are in the workplace undertaking qualifications. So my suggestion would be that yourself and probably Karen, you need to get together with the schools, look at how you want to deliver it. Do their IT platforms, would they allow that? Because I've had a lot of experience in the past, albeit many years ago, but it's not as straightforward, and there's a lot more issues. For example, when you do the induction, schools will require safeguarding and all sorts of things that whilst we do it with adults, it's with a different respect to children. So we had to say we couldn't take these two young people on because they were still at school, and had to, because we were contacted by the teachers from the school who said, hang on, you know, we need more information, what's all this about? And we were unaware that we were being proposed.
Can Charlie, can you send me the teachers' contact details, please, for the two students? Because I'll give them a ring. I mean, what you've summarised there is great, Jan. I mean, as it happens, I in a previous life I had a business that did online learning for schools. I had a GCSE revision platform, so I had 1 million kids using my software every week. So that was something I sold that sort of 7 years ago now. But so the actual I've got actually some personal experience of how you actually do the safeguarding in schools and all that sort of stuff, and DBS checks and all that. Now, obviously, you only need DBS checks if you've got a physical contact with people, and if we're going down a digital first approach, and there's no interaction between people, then you can actually do it in a slightly different way. And most schools now will have what's called an LMS, a learning management system, or a VLE. And most of them will use, I had a product called Talmos. I had a business called Talmos, and a lot of them you have things like Moodle as well. There's a few, the Uniservity, Frog Education. There's a bunch of them. I sold my business to Frog Education actually. So I'm aware of that. So I actually think it's a really good idea, because I think it's that. We did talk about it, and Karen made the point at the time. She's not on the call today, but I think that's a really good building block. And if we can get 2 or 3 qualifications in that space, we are doing something that the industry that the interest is doing. Sorry, did somebody say something then, or maybe maybe it was Mike just sort of coming on, I guess. So what does everybody think to that? Any views on that? Sean, you.
Oh, sorry, I tried to raise my hand. I was trying to be polite, Gerard, but I don't think I did it very well on the system. I don't know why it didn't work. I was listening intently. I was thinking about the way that universities do internships, and some schools, for example, will have work experience, as part of what they offer, depending on what kind of school it is, and encourage the kids to go and spend 2 or 3 weeks working in some kind of employment. Yeah. I just wondered whether that kind of exercise could be tied into it in some way to make it, a little bit more, so it gives them an opportunity to experience it rather than it just be some kind of awareness online.
Yeah, so that's an interesting point. So what you're one thing I would say is work experience is quite short normally, is it? Or
yes, normally 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah, so I think you'd struggle to do a qualification in 2 or 3 weeks, wouldn't you, Jan or Pam?
Yeah, you would.
But you could do something and gather part of the evidence, so it becomes a blended learning process. So you could do maybe if you wanted them to get some experience, they could do an aspect of what they're doing in the workplace under work experience and do the rest of it online. But I think you'd have to build the qualifications. Pam, I don't know what you think, but I would say you would have to build the qualifications assuming that it could all be achieved digitally. And if they have got access, that's a bit of a bonus if they get access to go into
it could almost be like a project.
Yes.
Carried out in
a case study or something like that.
Case study, something like that. Yeah. Something where it would be very advantageous if you could do it in the workplace, but if you were not able to, you could use a different means.
I was thinking of the link with ISG. If ISG have got, whether it be experience in an office-based environment or which allows them to maybe visit the odd site with safely, just to give them that kind of experience of what it's about, as part of the process.
Do contractors, and it's a question for Keith really, do you like encourage kids to come on site and do like visits and stuff? I mean, I don't know if you do stuff like that, do you?
I'm sure I've heard before that they're not due to insurance, under 16s are not allowed on site.
Whenever we've done it, it's been a nightmare getting work experience kids on site.
Yeah, okay. So this might be year 10 and 11 then, which is not year 10 and 11, year 12 and 13, sorry. So it'd have to be after 16, so A-level students for one, or BTECs or whatever.
Or, and I mean, I don't know how you would all feel about it, but what some schools do is they would use a vocational opportunity for those that are disaffected from the core curriculum. And it's not necessarily just naughty boys and girls that you know, are misbehaving, but can include them. So I think in terms of, if we're going to show equality and diversity, as we should do to its fullest, you need to take into account that schools might jump on and say, well, you know, we would have a cohort of young people and they might be in that category.
Yeah, that's an interesting idea, that, Jan, because if I go back to when I used to supply schools with other stuff, sort of 15 years ago, there was a big push at the time. Alan Johnson was the education secretary.
Yeah.
And there was a big push at the time to practical skills.
Yes.
The whole idea was to try and support, you know, where the next, we're going to need loads of plumbers and not everybody could do history or Latin, you know what I mean? And so there was a big push. So that's an interesting point. So it's not necessarily that you are in what's called a PRU, a pupil referral unit. It might be, as you say, that you are not academically biased, but you are very practically biased.
Exactly. Everybody learns in different ways, and some people just, whatever you try, are not suited to a straightforward academic route.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, what you could think about is delivering some of them as STEM sessions. So because, you know, you can do them in schools and you can invite those students to some STEM workshops, or you could do STEM weeks where, you know, you encourage, I mean, I know a lot of organizations and a lot of schools do the, what's it called, the National Engineering Week or National Women Engineering
that's
Week.
Right. Yeah. There's a few of those.
That happens in March every year. So what we could do is, you know, stagger weeks like that, maybe 2 or 3 times a year, so that they are, you know, 6 months apart, and they give that opportunity for different workshops and different students to be able to, you know, come see what they're learning, come and apply, or, you know, just call them insight days. If work experience for a couple of weeks seems like too much, maybe we could just do insight days where, you know, or another, maybe a project sponsored by, you know, some of the companies to come and see this is what we're doing, and, you know, get involved depending on different levels or age groups that they are in.
So, yeah, I think that's a good idea, actually. I'm just wondering, do you think there's enough momentum to have like a national construction week?
Of course, I would love to.
Yeah, so, you know, I mean, we could have a piggyback onto an existing theme, which is your engineering piece, Niti. But I'm just wondering, well, you know, if we got enough of us behind something and we created some sort of a learning and along the lines of what we said, could we, you know, I don't know how you set up a national XYZ week. I presume there's
you just set it up with a lot of social media and enough hashtag, and there we go. I don't think you need too much. But another thing,
that's a job for you then, Niti. We've got you a job.
That's great, thanks. Of course, I would love to. There's another thing that we could piggyback on. There's National Learning, no, what's it called? Learning at Work Day, which happens in sometime May, June. Right, so that is something as well that we can get, you know, a lot of people involved in, because it's a learning at work day, and, you know, you can then also start, you know, creating certain sessions tailored to the qualifications that, you know, the cohort is going through, and be able to support that.
Okay.
Yeah, they used to be called industry days, I think, didn't they?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think, Pam, we have some STEM qualifications, or one at least.
We've got one, yeah.
Yes. I'm just wondering whether you could actually look at it so that the school gets something out of it, that the qualification that they achieve could actually link into the STEM framework as such a little bit.
So just so I understand this, so science, technology, engineering, and maths, yes, STEM.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's a set of that's a thing in schools. So we're talking about here maybe creating a module that could be used and evidence as part of students sort of STEM qualification. Is that what we're saying?
No, it's off the top of my head. I don't know whether that's possible, but if you look at it, even from a maths point of view, a lot of construction involves a lot of maths.
Yeah, QS.
But it's not the sort of maths that there's some of the young students that we're thinking of. It's more
practical maths.
Maths, yeah.
Real life maths.
Real life maths, absolutely.
Yeah.
Another thing that you could think of is collaborating, or probably just having a chat with STEMnet. So STEMnet is the national association for STEM ambassadors. So all the people in the industry who are passionate about STEM and delivering, educational related workshops in schools, they are all affiliated with them, and so they might already have a lot of workshop materials, curriculum related materials that they might be able to if you have a chat about this is what's included in our curriculum, do they have something already existing, then we can just pick that up, fine tune it, make it work, rather than start from scratch.
Okay, so what do we think then? So is it worth, it sounds like, do we feel, I mean, obviously Sean's had an opinion there, Rachel, Diana, Mike, I don't know if you've got up to speed, you joined us a little bit later. What does everybody else think? Margarita?
I'm thinking, I don't know if you mentioned this already, but Careers Week is in first week of March. They, like, every year I go out to schools and talk about, my job, what I do, etc. But this year is a bit tricky because I've been asked from 2 schools, both independent schools actually. They don't know what to do this year because they are obviously not going to have a fair or anything like that. And they're trying to come up with ideas that can be run virtually. So maybe there's an opportunity to sort of run a test, run a seminar, run a quick, hour session or something like that within the frame of the Careers Week. I don't know, because they got a whole week dedicated to that, which is and it's happening every year, so you can plan.
So you can plan for it. Yeah. That's a good point. Diana, Keith, Mike, Rach.
Hey, Jared. Sorry, Mick. It's I was just thinking that kind of one of the things we're doing with the business at the moment is trying to help local schools, particularly disadvantaged kids. There's a big, there's a huge opportunity around there to kind of get more inclusion within the workforce. Very few school leavers particularly see careers in construction as anything other than mud and boots.
Yeah.
So, I think there's a huge opportunity for us to do. You can do it through the LEPs. So West Yorkshire Combined Authority, they do it. They've got a cornerstone employee thing where you can go around and speak to the schools, and it's a structured engagement session. So linking into something like that might be useful. You speak to schools, you do CV reviews, interview workshops, tell them a bit about the career that they can have, and it'd be great to get. The importance from our point of view is getting people that just aren't white males stood in front of these kids.
Yeah.
They need to see the people from their own backgrounds and who represent them, have made progress in this. So we're conscious about, getting people from varying backgrounds and, particularly women as well, who can represent a positive career in the industry, really.
Yeah. So,
think about that.
You're getting the right role models, Mike.
It's absolutely important. Yeah. You've got to do that.
Okay. All right.
We're fairly similar within Graham, Gerard, and there's been a big push around diversity again in Graham, particularly around the women in construction agenda.
Right.
And we've got a lot of senior people who are pushing that.
Okay. Diana, Rachel.
I'll go on, Rachel, go first.
Sorry. We're quite similar to Margarita. We've done quite a lot of career fairs in the past. We've gone out and speaking to people, and then we pick people who for interviews from that careers day, use them for 2 weeks as a work experience, and then they may get the graduate role based on that. So we've actually got 3 or 4 people in the business that have gone through that way, which really, really works. But this year, the Cardinal Heaton, who we usually go to, I think they're going to move it online. I think they're going to have to do a bit more of a structure, like Margarita said, and do it that way around. But it's so beneficial.
Yeah.
It helps with the diversity and everything.
Okay. Diana?
Oh, sorry.
Sorry. No,
Yes,
yeah.
similar to Rachel, we've done the same, but this year we've done virtual career fairs with Derby University and Nottingham Trent University. But then the only thing, I don't know if someone's mentioned it already, with visiting sites, I'm sure under 18s are not allowed.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm sure there's some sort of
Difficult, that,
insurance that you can't have. So you
What about
can't do, like,
virtual sites? Virtual sites.
Yeah.
You know, there's, you know, we've got that would certainly be using technology. I think.
NG have done that.
Yeah,
I think there's a
NG,
few with
yeah.
NG, they've done that. They've done virtual sites to show kids, you know.
Yeah, that's quite interesting.
Yeah, we've done virtual site visits, virtual inductions for our graduates, all those kind of things now.
Okay, so just to put a stake in the ground, 50% of the people on this call are females. So we're doing our bit for equality and diversity, aren't we? So,
well, you're getting the female bit right.
Sorry. Okay. Yeah. All right. Well, we'll see. Yeah. Okay. Fair point.
Positive discrimination.
Well, it's not, is it? But the big issue we've got as an industry, 12% of the industry that we represent are women, and 3% are ethnic minorities. So we're not getting it right as an industry, are we? And we shouldn't criticise, should we? And I'm not saying that the process we've got is discriminating, but the outputs are, aren't they? The outputs. No executives are black that I know of in the industry. No chief execs that I know. You know, very few senior managers, particularly women. You know, we've got, as a business, we've probably got 5 partners out of 100. You know, so in terms of outputs, we've got a problem as an industry. You know, you can't ignore it, can you?
No, we, as it happens in Pagabo and Cypro, we have got quite a good mix of in fact, it's about 50-50 actually in both our business. That's because they're the right people for the jobs. We don't have a huge amount of ethnic minorities, and that's because the people are not in our particular geography. But I do think you're right. We need to ensure we're doing more about that. We absolutely must. We've got to do that. And I think we do quite a lot bit in our frameworks now in terms of inclusion, but it does require the companies to take a positive approach as well. Doesn't it?
We don't get it right, Jared, either. You're not on your own with this.
Yeah. No, I know it's the industry isn't right. You know, I mean, okay. So let's just have a bit of a recap. So it feels to me like an educational piece of work to link in schools into something that's going on, into what we're doing, could be a good idea. We can probably create a qualification or qualifications which gives us that bridge to help. But if we use that, we could look to whether we blend it across careers weeks, whether we blend it across creating another day, like Neeti said, you know, can we create a construction week, or does that feel like something we want to go for? Because we've obviously got the TFOC qualifications themselves are now going to be implemented, and we'll start the work on those after the 15th of January, because the inductions continue up to the 15th of January, and then from the 15th of January we'll be starting, there'll actually be learning going on, and we are going to, just so you know, we're developing some content which we want to have on resources which sit alongside the qualifications. So Pagabo is actually just developing some of those. We'll hopefully have them ready by well, it might be the end of January. Is that fair to say, Charlie and Rachel? That's So we scoped it out, because what we're trying to do is because we're going to deliver them exclusively digital. We're having to get some animators in to create some resources and whatever. So we're actually doing that, but that'll be delivered. So I think that, and then Mick, your point, which I've still got on my to-do list, what will be the commercial model going forward? We'll then have that, and then I think as well, once we've launched it in January and we've actually started going, we'll then look to approach the CIOB and people like that. I was going to approach the CITB, but there is a bit of a concern at the moment about the CITB inside the industry. So I think there's a question mark over which direction they're going in at the moment. So, you know, I haven't sort of jumped on to speak to them. But I think the actual quals are working quite nicely. So do we want to put some investment into this whole sort of schools piece then? Is that what we're saying?
I think that would be very beneficial. Yeah.
I think the timing would be good. Yes.
Yeah, so I'm just, because again, it's that, you know, let's get people into the industry. Let's give them a life of careers rather than just a job. and let's get people, and if they move around, that's fine. If they move around companies, that's fine. But we want to keep them in our sector, don't we? You know, once you're in here, we're not letting you go, Mr. Student. That's the sort of idea, isn't it? You know, and do that, because that addresses all of our, addresses all of the issues we have around recruiting, retaining, and all that. Then if we can do that, so okay, all right. Does anybody, if Niti, would you be, if we needed some help on that, would you be willing to help us on that?
Of course I would.
Good. Well, I'm just building on the fact that you put yourself forward with these great ideas, you see.
Something to look forward in the new year, absolutely. No worries, Jared.
That'd be great. That'd be great. So, okay. All right. So that feels to me like that's where we are. So has anybody got any other questions? Because I think that covers off my agenda. Everything, let me just go through it here. 10th of December, we've got the 25, it's going to be probably 23. Charlie's going to write to everybody and name the names on the naughty step if there are any, Charlie, yep. We know what we're doing, we've got the IQAs, we've got the assessors in place. When we deliver the content, we won't have an e-learning platform initially, because we're actually, funny enough, we're trying to build one, but that won't be that. So when people gather their evidence, they'll be using what they call assessment workbooks, which is what Gary from PQ from ProQual will talk about. That's fine. And I don't think we're not going to push the marketing button until probably until we've sort of got some evidence created. So we're going to do a survey once we've got everybody inducted. How did it go? A survey during the training, and then a survey at the end. And it's likely we'll push the marketing once we've got some sort of feeling of, yes, this is the right thing, etc. And then I was going to approach the CIOB, CITB, and others probably mid to late Jan. That was my approach. Okay. Does that make sense?
Yep, sounds good.
Yeah, I think it's good. Do you know what's interesting? When did we start this journey? Probably July. Was it June, July?
It was warm.
Yeah, it was. Well, that could have been April, Margarita.
Yeah.
It was warm in April this year. Okay, so okay.
I think it was May.
May? Was it May? Okay.
I think it was May. I agree with Margarita. It was May.
Right. Okay. So in 6.5 months, I think we've done quite a good piece of work, really.
A long way. Yeah.
I don't know what, but I think we know how slow sometimes the industry can work, but I think as collectively we've done a really good job. And I think into New Year, by the end of Q1 next year, we will hopefully have had 25 people through a bunch of qualifications that didn't exist this time last year.
Yeah.
That's quite
well,
good.
And an approach with students and education. So I'd like to think we're, as a collective, please tell me if we're doing it right. Hopefully we are. I think we're doing, a really good job for the industry, and I really think we need to amplify it and say well done to everybody. Does that make sense?
I think when you act proactively, but you're in the driving seat as well. So if you take away bureaucracy, it just proves what you can achieve if you set your mind to it, really.
Well, look, that's absolutely right. I mean, we are a speedboat in an ocean of oil tankers, aren't we?
Oh, that's a strange analogy, but yeah.
Very strange.
Well, the idea being we could just buzz around and all that sort of stuff, whereas these large organisations take ages to take 15. When I was a kid, I used to go on my dad's ships, and he used to be on it wasn't a tanker actually, it was what's called a roll-on, roll-off ship. It was the largest container ship in the world at the time, and it would take 12 miles to turn around. So if you fell overboard, you've had it there, because by the time it's come back to you, you've had it. That was how these things operated back then. So. Okay. Anybody got any other questions? Any other points?
I just want to say, if in terms of gender equality, etc., I'm a committee member of Women in Property in Cambridge.
Okay.
And I'm linked to Women into Construction as well. The other thing I was thinking, even constructing excellence could be quite a good, sort of group that could be explored. And again, I'm a committee member in that group as well, if that helps in the future when we got a bit more marketing and we want.
Yeah, I think, Mick's raised some interesting points there and the valid. So I think once we've got a platform that we're delivering, which is our qualifications, and we've got something going around with young people in schools. I think we need to really be pushing the gender and the equality piece across the whole spectrum, and that needs to be just our message. Because if we're starting this new, we should be able to start from that position now rather than having to reinvent it later. Which is, I think, a lot of the things the industry needs. A lot of the thing the industry does is always it's trying to backfill with some of these issues rather than we can start on the right step today, can't we?
Yeah.
We do have some clear targets around that, I think. John.
Okay. Well, then we should think about them next year then as well. Then so okay.
Because that's the only way we'll change it, isn't it?
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. And it was like, I mean, we didn't go to MIPIM this year, did you?
No, no one did, mate.
Well, I know. It was just, I remember MIPIM last year. It was like, the sort of do at the end of the thing. It was like getting a load of blokes in a room in a dance. It was just absolutely crackers. I couldn't believe it. It was mad. So anyway.
So with these new qualifications, could we kind of lead, a young female, a young black male through to identify areas which might, they might appeal to them more within the industry? So
you mean create role models? You mean?
Well, no. I mean, I suppose I don't want to be sort of stereotypical, but say like marketing's quite female dominated. And it's kind of so you can say, oh, you've got a massive career in construction marketing kind of thing. That's still viable, so it kind of opens those opportunities and things. So rather than trying to kind of force an issue, just enlighten people doing the qualifications into more of the opportunities available to them.
Okay, okay. So once we've got the platform, what you're talking about is how we then sort of market it. Is that what you're saying? Rather than it's about designing the qualifications differently.
Yeah. So in the qualification center, so you could go away and explore what opportunities there could be in product development in construction, or marketing in construction. They're looking at other than just laying bricks and things which I think are typically male dominated.
But it would surely cover, I would say that it covers the whole range of different career types, job role types, rather than just focus on one, or else you're missing out on all the others.
Yeah. But it makes them more aware then of those different career types. So I think that's a bit of a problem with people going into construction. They just think it is laying bricks and that's it.
Yeah. Well. Then the answer then is the best way to achieve that is to go into the schools, isn't it? Because if you can capture their imagination at that level, across the whole spectrum of what equality means, then you're in a better position, aren't you? Because that's where it goes up. So I would say that's really, Mike's right about, if we do measure some of the things we're doing, we can actually be positive about changing things in what we do now. But if we really address the issue in schools, and without forcing, I don't know how we do it. We have to think about it, but and we need to take advice from schools on that as well. But that would achieve what you're saying, Charlie.
Yeah, because I think there's, I don't schools. I think you've got your kind of set career paths, haven't you? As a child, you almost you go into sort of medicine, you go into construction kind of thing, and I don't think as a child you kind of realize the different opportunities within each sector, really.
The school I went to was you had to be a professional, doctor, lawyer.
Yeah, same with mine. Yeah,
that was the school I went to, and then, funny enough, my kids went to the same school actually. But I'm a member of a group called For Entrepreneurs Only in Hull, and I used to go and do talks to schools about having a career opportunity. Starting your own business we were trying to flog that as an idea, as a potential career. Don't become a doctor, don't become this, don't become that. Why don't you start your own business? The whole idea of why entrepreneurship is important. And the school, I went back to my school and with a couple of people who were pretty successful people, and the headmaster said, "Oh well, we don't actually want our students to actually start businesses. We don't think that's appropriate. They need to become doctors and lawyers and go to university." So the chief executive of this £400 million company in Hull, who sells health and safety gear, so you might know who it is, called Arco, he wasn't very complimentary to the head teacher.
I think I think you're onto that, because it sounds very similar to my school. Unless you went to Oxbridge and you became a lawyer, a doctor, they didn't really offer much else. So
yeah, and it's absolutely wrong. I mean, we've talked about this. We've talked about academic education, and people even in our sector think people are better with a degree or less good if they don't have a degree. I've got two daughters. One's doing a degree in natural sciences at Leeds, and one's didn't do a degree and she's working and got a job. And and it's because both of them are quite different people, and both of them will be successful in different ways. It does not suit one size doesn't suit everybody, does it? We know that. It's crackers.
I tell you what, though, Gerard, for the new qualifications for the younger students, I think it might be better to get everything in place and start thinking about it. But whatever the content of the qualifications is, I think it would benefit from the e-portfolio and complete digital, because I think they'd engage with that more than having to complete assessment workbooks, which is more classroomy, schooly thing again.
I get that, and I think you're right. So that could be the way to capture their hearts and minds.
Yeah,
what you're saying.
and
So well, we'll hopefully have some stuff around that in April, May anyway. So it's not as if it's like a year away, as you know, because you know what we're doing, Jan. But so I think that's and the other thing, because the stuff that you're looking around in other areas of your stuff that you're doing, that's all going to be digitally based. So I think that's the way we've got to go. And again, is there, and this might come out in the work you talk about later, Pam and Jan, in when we look at this, is there a way we can approach it which is just different to everybody else?
Do you mean?
I don't know what I mean. You know what? Like if
no, I meant. Do you mean delivery or
well,
qualification?
I think we can deal with the delivery. It's more the qualification.
We can have what we want.
Yeah.
So I think
we're always straining at the bit, trying to do something different.
Okay. Well. Again, if we try and be really innovative with the qualification, and make it engaging, and people go, "Wow, I didn't know we could do this at school."
Exactly.
You know that sort of stuff.
That's what's needed.
Yeah.
That's what's needed. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Gerard, is there a way of identifying the schools and academies that have got specialisms? So, for example, I remember when we replaced Shirebrook School. When we did Shirebrook School years ago, they're listed as a construction and science academy.
So you've got all schools have different flavours. So academies can have specialisms, but you've also got these things called UTCs, which are university technical colleges. So they're like a school, but they've got like a specialism. We've got one in Hull, which is an engineering UTC. So that there are specialisms, Sean. You're right, and you've also got FE colleges which do FE colleges which do sort of 14 to 16 as well, not so 16 to 18. So but Hull's not a great example of that, because Hull College is pretty average, and you'd be better off talking to White College and some of the sixth forms in Hull, as John might know that as well, with White College and what have you. So I think the answer is yes, Sean.
Well, I think all it was. I mean, I'm not linked to the school like I used to be, but where you've got some such as Shirebrook Academy, it's in an old mining area, an area of deprivation. Yeah. That's why they had that kind of academy status, and it was promoted by Derbyshire County Council. If there was one or two schools or academies like that were interested in the initiative, would that give you, the sort of interesting dialogue?
That'd be really good, and I'm happy if you can find that. I'll happily do that. I mean, just for everybody's information as well, I've got a conversation with the Open University on the 20th of January. So through a contact of mine, Martha Lane Fox, who used to have lastminute.com, she's the chancellor of the Open University. So I've spoken to the kid. Charlie was on the call with me actually, Viren Patel, and he's really quite an interesting guy. And so I'm talking to him about looking at Open University sort of stuff, and could we produce a virtual built environment college? which could be quite interesting as well. So there's quite a lot going on, I think. So I think I think the workplace stuff, we've got some stuff going now. We've got to push that out, turn it into a commercial model, work it out, and let's see and get accredited by the relevant people. And then there's the non workplace, which is in learning, outside of learning, and all that. And I think that could be quite could be quite interesting. So anybody, so I think what we might do then is I might try and organise my thoughts, and then possibly, Niti, in the new year have a chat with you about it then to help us on it. If that's okay.
Yeah, of course, Gerard.
Okay. All right, good. So unless anybody's got any other questions, I will I'll say happy Christmas to you all.
Hold up, Gerard.
I have a question.
Niti, far away.
Have we got meetings in the new year?
I was just about to suggest that bit.
Sorry, that's yeah. Sorry,
Charlie.
No, you're right. Why don't we have one just after the 15th, because that's the last day of the induction. So, in fact, Charlie, can you suggest, right? If everyone looks at the diaries now, let's pick a date for the January one, and then if Charlie can send probably 3 other meetings forward, so we get January, February, March in the diary, please. That might be quite useful. So I'm thinking either the 18th or the 19th of Jan.
I can't do 18th, 19th. I can do the 15th though.
Oh, is that the Friday?
Yeah.
If it's the 15th, it'd have to be after 11 o'clock for me, and then all day.
I can't do the 15th.
Okay.
I can do the 22nd.
Okay.
In the afternoon.
21st?
21st, 22nd?
Yeah, 21st, yeah.
Right. So currently...
These things have been very good for us all, really, up to now.
So currently we're building the agenda around Jan and Niti. So has anybody else got a view on that?
Well, I can do 21st, but only after 2 o'clock.
Okay. Well,
we're a bit busy on the 21st, Gerard.
Why?
Well, we've got the other module, and then we've got group presentations in the afternoon. So if they can fit around that, and
group presentations. Yes. Yeah, I can see that. What about the 20th?
Yep.
Yeah.
Can we do it a bit earlier, the 20th, 12-ish?
That's fine. Me.
Can we do half? Yeah, 12's fine. I can do 12. Thank you.
Okay, so if and then the February, March, and April ones, can you do them about? Can you offer up some dates, please, Charlie? About a month later, on the Thursday, just to use Jan's analogy that Thursdays are cool days.
I can find us a Thursday. Yeah.
All right. Okay. So thanks for butting in, Niti, and correcting us. Right, and so so I think that's it. So we don't finish till next Wednesday actually, but I just want to say thanks for all your work so far this year, guys, everybody, because you've all been very helpful and done a great job to everybody. And let's see what we can do next year. And I just want to say happy Christmas to you all, happy New Year in what has been certainly in my 51 years of life the weirdest year I've ever seen. And hopefully it won't be the same next year.
Indeed.
Happy Christmas to all of you. Keep safe and
and that's it really. So okay, I'll see you next Wednesday anyway, Jan. I've got a meeting with you.
Yeah. I've had an email back, Gerard. So
yeah, I've seen it as well. So okay. All right.
Merry Christmas, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.